Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is April 23rd, 2014. This is Texan TV News from Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas, and I'm Alyssa Urbanek. In today's headlines, alternative entertainment during LJT, extra law enforcement for LJT, investigations continue in the fertilizer plant explosion in West Texas, President to visit Washington mudslide victims, piles of bodies in the South Sudan slaughter, and MLB suspends players after fight. Now for our top story. In campus news, with the Larry Joe Taylor Fest in full swing this week, there are other events taking place throughout the week according to several Tarleton emails. Tonight, Improv at Tarleton will hold the last show for this semester. It will begin at 5:15 in the Workshop Theater, and prizes will be given. Also, the 49th Annual Tarleton Stampede Rodeo taking place at the Lone Star Arena the 24th through the 26th. Performances start at 7:30 and admission is free to Tarleton students with ID. On campus in the Fine Arts Auditorium on April 24th, Tarleton's Got Talent will start at 7 p.m. Admission is $3, or you can bring non-perishable food and clothing for donation. Proceeds will go to the HOPE, Inc. Finally, the W.K. Gordon Center is hosting a night at the Opera House with the performance of In Old Arizona. This performance is free to the public and begins at 6 p.m. on April 26th. In regional news, the Stephenville Empire-Tribune reported that with over 50,000 fans entering Erath County this week for LJT held at Melody Mountain Ranch, law enforcement agencies will be out in full force this weekend patrolling the fairgrounds. This year's law enforcement officials say they will crack down on underage drinking. Sheriff Tommy Bryant said there will be zero tolerance for underage drinking and that the TABC has been brought out to help patrol the event. Event officials also work to keep festival goers safe by hiring extra security and emergency personnel to work the festival. But with the threat of drunk drivers on the roads, local law enforcement agencies step up patrols in and around Erath County during the event. Now for state, national, international, and sports news from the Associated Press. In state news, the Texas fertilizer plant explosion in West that killed 15 people a year ago could have been prevented, and agencies at all levels haven't done enough to change the circumstances that led to the catastrophe. Federal officials said Tuesday. The U.S. Chemical Safety Board presented its preliminary findings about the blast in West Texas in front of a packed room of residents and town officials still rebuilding after the April 17, 2013 explosion leveled part of the town and injured 200 people. The board says it's clear the owners of the West Fertilizer Company failed to safely store hazardous chemicals and prepare for a potential disaster. Despite the investigations that have yielded information about safety deficiencies at the plant and voluntary safety steps taken by the nation's fertilizer industry, not a single state or federal law requiring change has been passed since April 17, 2013. West Mayor Tommy Muska thanked the board for holding its meeting in the still rebuilding city, but questioned whether investigators needed to focus more on the production of ammonium nitrate, a chemical that was used in the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, and ways to add additives to make it safer. Even though the cause has not officially been determined, an ongoing investigation by federal and state officials has narrowed the possible causes of the fire to three things: a golf cart battery, an electrical system, or a criminal act. No one has been charged. In national news, President Barack Obama braced to share sorrows once again as he visited Washington State Tuesday to meet with victims of the mudslide that killed more than 36 people. Now we go to the AP for a video.
There's still families who are searching for loved ones. There are families who've lost everything, and it's going to be a difficult road ahead for them. And that's why I wanted to come here, just to let you know that the country is thinking about all of you and have been throughout this tragedy. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here as long as it takes. We immediately approved an emergency declaration to provide additional resources to state and local responders, and I followed that by approving a major disaster declaration to help residents and business owners rebuild and to help state and local and tribal governments with emergency work. Today, that work continues. Michelle and I grieve with you. The whole country's thinking about you, and we're going to make sure that we're there every step of the way as we go through the grieving, the mourning, the recovery. We're going to be strong right alongside you. There's still families
President Obama
who are
surveyed the damage done on March 22nd by helicopter and met with emergency responders and recovery workers. The massive mudslide in the small town of Oso, about an hour northeast of Seattle, killed at least 41 people and buried dozens of homes. The search for bodies is still ongoing. However, the Snohomish County Medical Examiner's Office has identified 41 victims, with two names remaining on the missing persons list. Obama declared earlier this month that a major disaster had occurred in the state, making it and affected residents eligible for various forms of financial aid that will help cover the cost of temporary housing, home repairs, and the loss of uninsured property. Obama recently asked the nation to send its thoughts and prayers to the state and to Oso, saying that part of the tight-knit community has been lost and that though this is a tough situation, we need to hope for the best. In international news, a gunman in South Sudan targeted civilians, including children and elderly. The AP was there to get the story.
Video provided by the UN mission in South Sudan shows the bodies of civilians ethnically targeted by gunmen as part of a conflict that has been raging since December. The images, some too graphic to show, capture bodies scattered in the streets. UN officials are helping to clear the bodies.
And I think that what I've so far seen in the mosque and in other parts of town has really been very, very heart-wrenching. Certainly atrocities have been committed here on a very significant scale.
Victims include women, children, and the elderly. UN investigators say hundreds were killed last week and have been warning of mounting evidence of ethnically targeted killings in the world's newest nation. Government troops and rebel forces have been losing and gaining territories in back-and-forth clashes. Despite a ceasefire signed earlier this year, both sides continue to trade allegations over human rights violations. Bob McCall, Associated Press.
In sports news, Major League Baseball has suspended 4 players involved in last Sunday's brawl between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee catcher Martin Maldonado was suspended 5 games, while outfielder Carlos Gomez was suspended 3 games. Pittsburgh outfielder Travis Snyder received a 2-game penalty, with catcher Russell Martin also missing 1 game. Maldonado began his suspension with Tuesday's game against the San Diego Padres. Gomez decided to appeal and was in his usual leadoff position. Manager Ron Reineke said he thought a decision could take a couple weeks. Gomez said he is appealing because he did not throw the first punch during the fracas and that umpires know who started everything. Benches cleared after Gomez and Pirates pitcher Garrett Cole exchanged words after Gomez's triple in the 3rd inning. Snyder came onto the field and tackled Gomez, getting a minor assist from Martin in the process. Snyder was then punched in the face by Maldonado, receiving a small gash under his left eye. Today you can expect a high of 84 and a low of 61, according to Yahoo Weather. Today's broadcast was produced by Cassidy Horn and Megan Bailey. Don't forget to tell your friends about us and become a fan of Texan TV News on Facebook. I'm Alyssa Urbanek. Tune in tomorrow for the latest news from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas.